All right, okay. Let's see. I'm just going to be doing this little audio vlog regarding journaling, just to share some thoughts. Nothing fancy. So, journaling is basically okay. Well, see, what happens is people get confused with journaling and diary keeping. What happens is the diary is basically a pre-printed page which already prints the date, and every day you basically write into the diary. If you skip a day, then you can't write on that page. You have to go to the next page because the date has already passed, something of that sort. But diary keeping is something that's really nice. People, especially at work, people do, look at diaries, like a work diary. I don't exactly have a diary at my work. I tend to just use only a journal because I think that works pretty well. Now, also remember, I've been using journal for such a long time. Oh my God, I've been doing it ever since either middle school. Actually, it started out with being a diary because that's what the teachers at that time encouraged us in class to do. I'm not so sure how many of us in my class they still use diary, yes or no, but it's still there. And I recently was traveling at the end of 2024 for Christmas holidays, and I did pick up myself a small diary. And of course, I only wrote like maybe 2 weeks, and then that was it. I went back to journaling. I went to the shop and I bought myself a journal book. And I thought, you know what, I'm so, like, because I've been doing this for such a long time, that it's part of my lifestyle. Like every day I will at least write in a page, if not 2 pages. Sometimes I will write like 3-4 pages, and sometimes I will write half a page, because there is no rule. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this podcast, is because I wanted to let people know that don't feel pressured into this journal thing or diary thing or whatever. The most important thing is that you are actually writing something. See, that's important. It's not about your phone. I don't subscribe. I know we all live with multiple phones, and we have our beautiful smartphones, and we'd like to journal into our phones. But you know what? That is missing. I would think that you are missing the whole point if you did that. Because the idea of journaling is you using your hand, picking up a pen, and writing it on paper. Now that's actually the hidden secret right there. Because see, when you do that, for example, let's say if I'm journaling into my computer, or my iPad, or my smartphone, I tend to edit stuff. I tend to correct my grammar. I tend to correct my spelling. It becomes this whole like editorial type of thing, which is not what the idea is. When you write on paper, you're using a pen, no whiteout. So if you make a mistake, you scratch it and then you rewrite the sentence if you want to do that way. So if you have grammar mistakes, if you have spelling mistakes and stuff like that, it's no problem, because the idea of journaling is to get your thoughts from your head onto paper, just the way it is, totally unedited. Because remember, your journaling book is only meant for you. It's not meant for the whole world to see. And because of that, you can basically do whatever you want. You can write whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can feel whatever you want, because it is your book. So that is super important. That is actually rule number 1. I write things in my journal is because it's private to me. It has only meaning to me. It doesn't really matter to anybody else. And usually it's just me and how my day is going, how my life is going. Am I doing something right? Am I doing something wrong? Yesterday something went wrong. I wrote it down and I said, oh, it was a problem. How did I fix it? See, to me, journaling is more of me and my lifestyle and how I want to improve myself as a human being, improve myself as a person, just to be better and better as we grow. So journaling is something like that. I mean, that's basically what it is, okay? Now, when you are looking at journals, one of the first things that you want to do is you want to ask yourself, is this journal something that you are going to keep it on your table at home and you're going to write it over there? Or is it a journal that you want to throw it in your bag so that you can go to a cafe and write it in the cafe, or write it at home, or maybe even when you're flying, maybe you're in the airport and you can take out your journal at the airport, or maybe you're inside the plane 30,000 feet up in the sky and you can write it over there. So you ask yourself, based on how you want to do your writing, that is the kind of book you should buy. So if there's no point buying a really beautiful, big, leather, awesome book, and then you realize you can't really carry it into your cabin baggage, right? I mean, like it's like it's too big and it's too heavy, and you have no space to carry it. So that would be a waste of a journal. So and that doesn't mean that you can't have multiple journals. Of course, you could have a desk journal at home, and you can have a carry-on notebook also, which is what I do. I have different things, but I tend to know my style, because I've been doing this for such a long time, is I get myself a notebook, a pretty nice notebook. It's not very expensive. I picked up mine for like less than $3, so it's no big deal. It has a really nice, smooth feel on the cover. It looks a little bit luxurious, even though it is not expensive. And it is slightly bigger than my phone. It's like if you put two smartphones together, that's the size of my journal. And it has, I think, you know what, I can tell you this, because you know what, I do number my pages. Do you know that? You know how many people I have seen talk about journals on YouTube, and you know, because I like it obviously, and they have never spoken about this, and I'm the only one who I think who do it, where when I buy a journal, what I do is I number the pages. Now the reason why I do that is because I dedicate like 4 or 5 pages in the beginning of the journal to like table of contents type of thing. So that means when I'm writing anything on any page, I will do a reference. I don't, you know, in business filing, I don't know how they call it, tickler file. I think they call it the tickler file, or ad hoc file. I'm not so sure. They call it something. There's a system on that kind of filing. And so what I do is, if I would write certain things on multiple pages, I would put the topic in my contents of, like my table of contents at the beginning of my book, and I will write those multiple pages. So that means if I'm looking for something, I know that I wrote it, let's say on page 16, but I also wrote it on page 22 and page maybe 115, for example, just for example. So because I do that, I can tell myself, listen, when I'm writing my journal, I don't really need to write page after page. I can open up my book to any page and I can write. I tend to write page after page in some kind of an order, but my journal is basically my best friend. So that means I will put all kinds of things into my journal. Is because I'm not writing it like a diary. I'm writing it like, sometimes I will write it on this page, then another page I will put some photographs. Maybe I went somewhere with my wife and we had a ticket, so I will paste the ticket on a different page and write my experience about that outing, me and my wife, and we went somewhere, and that's why the ticket is there. I remember seeing somebody on YouTube where they basically were on some on cruise, I think, like it was a cruise, and the lady was drinking like pink champagne or something that she liked, and she purposely dropped a few drops of that champagne onto one of her pages so that it stained the page, and she wrote there that is me, that is my champagne that I drank on this cruise, which it was interesting because who really does that? Plus, if you had your phone, what are you going to do, spill champagne over your phone? You know what, that's not going to happen, right? So that's why journaling, paper, pen is so important. And that's why anytime when somebody tells me, oh yeah, I'm journaling into my smartphone, I'm like, yeah, that is not bad, but I think you're missing the big picture. You're missing the big picture by journaling into a digital device, because you, as we all know, anytime you save something into your phone, it just goes missing. Am I correct? Like, come on. Yeah, but you screenshot things up and down. When was the last time you went looking for things? No, not really. But if you have a journal, and if you just keep flipping pages, I'm telling you, it's a very different experience. It's a totally different experience. That's why journaling will never go away. I hope it'll never go away. I'm a teacher, so I do encourage it with all my students to please, guys, listen, you need to journal stuff, you need to journal because it's such a good idea. It's just a good habit, actually. So anyway, so what I do is when I get my journal, at the beginning of my journal, I will write a table of contents. I will leave at least 4 or 5 pages to it. Then I will number all my pages. So that way I have the freedom to write about certain things on different pages. So I don't really need to, like for example, my journal is divided into 2 parts. One part is just journaling, but I do have a tab on one side where I write all my DaVinci Resolve editing software, shortcuts, tricks, and notes. So I write that dedicated on one side, so that way I know that every time I'm doing anything, or if I find out, because I'm an editor, I'm learning editing. I think it's wonderful. If you're not visited my channel, please do check out my channel. And what I do is I tend it's like when I'm watching videos and I see somebody say something, I immediately open up my journal and I pencil it in. Like I write it in, like what was that trick, which I would, the next time when I'm opening up my Resolve software, I will try it out. Like I'll say, okay, does it work? Like recently I've been doing something that's known as Magic Mask, which is such a cool thing. I can't believe that I have not been using Magic Mask from before. Oh my God, I'm talking so fast. So I really don't even know like why I was not using it, but it's something that I learned recently. Actually, I learned it like last week, which is so cool. So now I know it. And I will definitely use it in all my YouTube videos because it's really cool. It helps with the color grading. It helps with the making my videos look a little bit more cinematic. So I love that thing. So I wrote that into my journal. I flew recently, beginning of the year. Towards the end of 2024 for Christmas. So I wrote all that stuff. I took a lot of photographs. So I went to the print shop and I printed all the photographs. In small pieces, of course, because I knew that I was going to cut it out and I'm going to stick it into my journal. So now my journal is not just words, but it also has photographs that go along with it. So that way it just makes it a little bit interesting. So anyway, so I just wanted to make a podcast. I wanted to try out the whole podcasting on this channel, and I just wanted to talk about the journaling thing, which is such an amazing thing. You should definitely try it out. A couple of more things that I will add is when you're journaling, let's say you don't know how to journal or you don't know what it is, I will give you a small little trick. Whenever I'm journaling, the first thing on the page I will do is I will write the date in full, like Thursday, the 23rd of January, 2025, something like that. Like I will write out the whole thing, including the year. Even though I know the journal is 2025, never mind. I will still enter 2025. Now, second line is I will write the time. I know it sounds crazy. I will write the time, and I will also write the desk. That means I have multiple desks, meaning I have one at work, I have one at home, I have a couple of actually at home. And let's say if I'm in a cafe, that will be my cafe desk. Let's say I'm in the airport because I am traveling a little bit. So I will say at the airport desk. So that means later on when I'm referring to pages and I'm rereading stuff, it's nice to know where I was when I was writing that. If it's raining outside, I will say it's raining outside. If it's cloudy, I will say it's cloudy outside. If it's if it's in the middle of the night, like sometimes I wake up really early in the morning to get a good start to my day, I will write like it's really early, it's so quiet outside, it's very dark, the sun is not out yet. So I'll be a little bit descriptive. So even when you start your journaling page, that alone already takes 3, 4, 5 lines. And the next thing you know, you're already running with it. And you can write your journal at multiple times in a given day. You don't have to say like, oh, I'm only writing my journal for the first hour and then I'm not writing the journal anymore. No, I don't think that's the way to do it. You can, but I don't think that's the way to do it. You want your journal to be like your assistant, like your best friend, something that you can go to. So what I would do is I would write the journal. I would write, let's say 9 o'clock in the morning, and I would write something. I'll close it, then I'll go to work and do my work stuff, whatever. And then 12 o'clock lunchtime, I'll open up my journal again and say, okay, 12 o'clock lunchtime, and then I'll continue writing. So this way, I don't restrict myself to any specific time. I can write whenever I feel like writing. Sometimes I will just write only one part and then that's it, and that's perfectly fine too. So I hope you got some kind of ideas from this little podcast. I know I'm blabbering. This is my first podcast, so please forgive me. I'm trying to get into it. So thank you so much, everybody, and I will see you guys in my next podcast or any of my videos which I am making and putting out regarding journaling. Thank you so much, guys. See you. Peace. Bye-bye. Stay blessed and have a good time. Bye-bye.